This is Natalie with the Fifth Journey coming to you from sunny Florida. This is a great workout to do while you're on vacation. It does not require any weights, but if you have some water bottles, you can grab that. This is loosely based on the 30-day squats and upper body challenge that I have on my blog. So we'll alternate between legs and arms and legs and arms. There are 20 sets of exercises, 40 total, and I have a spreadsheet that you can print off to go along with you, and we'll go ahead and get started. You'll do 10 to 12 of each exercise. Go ahead and grab your towels, your spreadsheet, some water, and let's go ahead and get ready to go. It is hot today, so we're going to be working hard and sweating. We're going to do a basic squat first. Feet are about hip width apart, and you're going to sit back. The weight is over your heels, and chest is up and lifted. You can have your hands in front or on your hips, but make sure you're keeping that chest nice and lifted as you're doing these squats. Go to as deep as you can, but still maintaining proper form while you're doing these. The next thing we're going to do is a basic push-up. Let's go ahead and come down. If you're going to be on your knees, make sure that your feet are up to protect the front of your knees. Make sure you have that long line from your head all the way down to the pivot point, either at your knees or your feet, using a full range of motion. Elbows are going to a downward angle and pressing up through your back as you do this, not collapsing in the shoulders. Make sure you're breathing. Exhale as you come up. Going back to the squat, we're going to do a ski or narrow squat. Feet are as together as you can. Still coming down. You may not be able to go quite as far. You don't want your knees to extend over the fronts of your feet, keeping them back over your heels, sitting upright and sitting back like you're going to be sitting into a chair, pressing down through those heels. We're going to grab our water bottles next once you're finished with this to do a back fly. So finish out those squats nice and strong. Good. Keep going. Make sure you're breathing. Grab your water bottles, like I said, to a back fly. So you're going to soften your knees, come over the flat back, squeeze through your shoulder blades, and lifting them up. Make sure you're actually squeezing through these exercises. Don't just go through the motions. You want to get a good workout with this. So squeeze as you come up and still resist as you come down. Make sure you're breathing. Nice neutral back. Don't arch, don't round. Long necks. Going back to the basic squat, we're going to do a front lift, alternating the legs, so hip width apart with your feet, and then lifting up, alternating with the leg that you're coming up with. So sitting back, lifting up, and then sitting back, and then coming up. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can do this with a straight leg, or you can turn the leg in. Or turn the feet in, your knee would be kind of out in an attitude position to do more of an inner thigh. Chest is still lifted. Sitting back through the heels, knees are not extending over the feet. So sitting back and then squeezing up. Sitting back and then squeezing up. Make sure you're breathing. Shoulders are down. Good. Sitting back and then squeezing up. Chest is lifted, hands are on your hips or in front. We're going to do an alternating tricep press. So one arm is going to go over the head, one is going to do kickback. Soften your knees, flat back. So one arm goes back, one arm goes over your head, crossing in the center line. Your head is in line. Nice neutral long back. So really do that press right at the end. So right there, press, and then switch, and then press. Make sure your arms aren't going out to the sides. You want to keep them in close to the body. Doing a good squeeze right at the end of the arm workout. Make sure you're breathing. Knees are soft. Good. We can go back to the basic squat with a kick back. You can either do a lift or actually do a kick back. So legs again, hip width apart, you're going to squat and then lift, squat and then lift. Go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a squeeze right when you come up. So coming down and then squeeze, going down and squeezing. Make sure when you come up to do the lift that you're not arching your back. So still have a nice long line. So as you can see, I'm not coming totally upright because if I do come totally upright, and I lift my leg back, I'm going to end up arching my back and squeezing in my back. I don't want to do that. I want to focus on my seat. So you're going down, you're squeezing with your seat, Going down and squeezing with your seat. Chest is still lifted and your shoulders are down. Make sure that you're breathing. Weight is back. Knees, try to keep those over your heels as you're doing that. Good. Make sure you're breathing. Next, we're going to do a chest press. So this is similar to what you would do when you're laying down. Elbows are in T-post, and you're going to bring them in and open. Make sure that you're squeezing as you come in and squeezing as you go out. Give yourself resistance on each one. Good. Shoulders are down. Don't wear them as earrings. You can soften your knees, stand however you want. Really squeezing in and out. Make sure you're breathing. Going on to a wide second plie, so a very, very wide stance. Legs are externally rotated from the hips, and you're going to go straight down like your carousel horse. So you're not sitting back like you're in a chair, you're going straight down and straight up. Give yourself a little squeeze at the top. Your spine is neutral, pelvis is neutral. Hands are up or on your hips. Either way is fine. Make sure you're breathing. Shoulders are down. Going to go to a downward facing dog and do push-ups from there. You don't have to have the perfect position. I actually like to have my hands internally rotated just a little bit, and you're going to press up from there. So this is a good push-up position, and if you need to soften your knees, that's fine. Just have a nice long back while you're doing this. Make sure you're breathing. Exhale as you press up. Going on to a figure 4 squat. If you need to hold on to something, you can definitely do that. Losing your balance, that's just how it goes. It's okay. So crossing the side of your shin on the other leg, don't use your foot. Don't cross at your foot because it'll sickle your foot. So sitting back like you would in a chair, you may not be able to go as far down. Try to keep your hips square as possible without dropping or pressing into that supporting leg. So the leg that you're actually bending, don't press over into your hip while you're doing that. Keep your shoulders down. Weight is back. Really like you're sitting back into a chair. You don't want to press forward in this. And if you need to be a little bit moderate with your positioning, that is completely fine. You don't have to go down super deep because the form is more important than how far down you can go. Shoulders are down. Make sure you're breathing. Again, grab onto something if you need to. I'm going to do an overhead tricep press. Elbows are in, and you're going to press straight up, giving a really good squeeze at the top. Make sure your elbows are in as close to your head as possible. Don't let them open up. Shoulders are still down. Nice neutral position with the rest of your body. And breathe. This is a good time to kind of catch your breath. Good. Back to the legs, we're going to do a basic stationary lunge. Find a really, really wide position because when you come down, you want to make sure that that front knee is tracking over the top of your ankle. And we're just pulsing, or a basic lunge from there, staying in one spot. So you'll do your 10 or 12 on one leg, and then we'll go on to the next one. Really focus on your seat when you are doing these. Don't do your squats from your knees. So if you actually think about it, when you're coming up, really squeeze with your seat because a lot of times we focus on the joints and that can actually put extra pressure on that. So really think about using the seat to come up and not the movable joints on that. Good. Make sure you're breathing, shoulders down. Overhead shoulder press. So grabbing the water bottles if you want to. Going to take your arms to a T-post and then squeezing up and squeezing down. Make sure you're giving resistance both ways. Don't just go through the motions. Squeeze and squeeze, squeeze and squeeze. Good. Make sure you're breathing. Don't let your shoulders stay up. So even though you're working your shoulders, don't lift them up by your ears. Back to the legs, we're going to do a warrior 3 lunge or warrior 3 squat or pulse. You can hang on to a chair or railing if you need to, lifting your leg straight back and bending the supporting leg or the working leg there. Good. Pressing up. And if you lose your balance, that's fine. Just grab onto something or hold onto something. You can have your arms out if you want. That works too. You want to have a long line from either the top of your head through your foot or your arms through your foot. So a really long line through there and then pressing down. Now when I'm talking about weightlifting, I talk about working leg, supporting leg. Here it's basically the same thing. When you're in dance, it is something different. So if you've taken classes from me, that may be a little confusing. But when I'm talking about supporting leg and working leg, it's the same on these, okay? Dance, it is different. And again, if you bobble, it's okay. Going on to arms, tricep dips. So you can either do it on the ground or find a chair, something sturdy that's not going to wobble, and you're going to press up through there. You can have your hands in different positions. Just make sure that you're actually using your arms, you're not just lifting your seat, and your shoulders are staying down. Nice long necks as you press up out of your arms. Good. Give it a little squeeze at the top. Grabbing onto a chair or the railing, we're going to do ballet bar or bar class type pulses. So feet are together. You're going to use your ankles as a hinge, so your knees are going over the fronts of your legs because you have that hinge. And you're going to squeeze your legs together as much as you can, and then just pulsing down from there. You can do a little extra squeeze in your seat to get a little bit more oomph out of it. And if you need to stretch your calves out after that, you can. Coming back to the ground, we are going to do tricep dips. Tricep push-ups. So pressing up just like a push-up, your elbows are in, grazing the sides of your ribs, and you're going to press up from there. Again, if you're on your knees, you need to make sure that your feet are lifted to protect your kneecaps. Good. Make sure you're breathing, nice long lines. Come back to a really wide second plie. Gonna go on releve, so coming up to the balls of your feet and pressing through there. Make sure that all of your toes are pressing into the ground, the ball of your foot. Don't let your ankles roll out. If this is too much, you can just put your heels down. That's fine. Shoulders are down. Make sure that you're breathing. Good. Pressing through. And if you need to stretch your calves after this, you can do that. Arms, grab your bottles if you want. We're going to do side raises, pressing the shoulders down. Make sure you're breathing. Resist each way. Good. Just lifting up. You can have your elbows straight or you can have them softened. Good job. And if you need to take a break to grab a drink or a towel, that's fine. Gonna go back to the basic lunge on the same leg. So instead of pulsing, you're gonna pull that leg in. And I prefer to do the lunges to the back because that way I'm using my seat instead of my upper body. Good, so go make sure you're pressing back really far, go back really far with that leg, and then use your seat to come up to a tap, and then going back, switching legs, shoulders are down. You can try to have a nice angle there. Good. Shoulders are down, make sure you're breathing. Chest is up and lifted. Very nice. Shoulders are down. Grab your bottles, we're going to do front raises. Arms can be straight or soft. You're just going to lift up, make sure that your shoulders are down, your abs are in, everything is engaged. You're resisting as your arm goes up and resisting as your arms come back down. Make sure you're breathing, hold everything in. You can soften your knees if you need to. And we're going to do squats. We're going to do ins and outs. You can add jumps to this if you want. I am not, but you're going to do a narrow squat, and then you're going to step out to a wide squat, back to a narrow squat, and then out to a wider squat, just alternating back and forth. You can go a little bit deeper. The wider your feet are on the out squat, the deeper you can go into it. Chest is still lifted, weight is back, weight is on your heels. Keep those knees over the tops of your heels as much as possible. Very good. Make sure you're breathing, shoulders down. Flat backs as much as you can, or neutral back. Just make sure you're not arching or rounding. Do tricep kickbacks. So find a comfortable position and soften your knees, bend over, squeezing your arms into your sides, and really squeezing your triceps at the peak of this exercise. So when you kick that arm back, then you really squeeze your triceps. And if you want to give a squeeze on the release, that'll work the biceps as well. Nice long necks. Now we can go either back to a lunge, or you can do a Bulgarian split lunge or Bulgarian split squat. You're going to put your back leg on either a chair, a bed, or something, and then you're going to do your lunge from there. Try to be in a position that your knee is not going too far over the front leg. So the one that's on the ground, try not to extend that knee too far forward because you can put too much pressure on your knee. And you'll do both sides. Again, if you want to just stay in regular lunges, you can do that as well. Good. Shoulders are down. Chest is nice and lifted. Make sure you're breathing, really pressing through the heel into the ground. Good. Shoulders down. Next, we're going to do arm circles. So arms are going to be stretched from your sides. You're going to do 10 to the back and then 10 to the front. And they're little circles. We're actually going to do 4 sets of them, 4 sets front, 4 sets back, and or alternating, excuse me. Just make sure that you're pressing down through your shoulders. You're not just swinging your arms around. I like to make fists because that puts energy all the way through my arms, from my shoulders all the way through to my fingertips. It gives it purpose when I'm doing those. Good. Shoulders are still down though. Squeeze your abs, squeeze your seat. Make sure you have energy down and clear through the floor. Nice long necks. Make sure you're breathing. Good. Shoulders down. Ribs are in and quiet. We're going to go to a squat pulse and then coming up just midway. Really squeezing your seat as you're doing these. Good. Chest is still lifted. Make sure you're breathing. That was a quick one. And we are going to back extension. So come on down the floor. You're going to lift out and up. Try not to squeeze your seat when you're doing this. If this hurts your pelvis, you can roll up a towel or use a pillow or something under there. You don't have to come up very far. Think about extending out and up instead of squeezing straight up with your lower back. You want to squeeze with your upper back. So out and up while you're doing these. And if you need to sit back on your heels for a second to stretch your back, you can definitely do that. Make sure you're still breathing. Going back to squats, we're going to do pedalers. So you're alternate lifting up one heel and then the other. So you go down, one heel comes up, and then you switch. There's a little bit of a pulse as you're doing these. Good. When you are pedaling your feet, make sure you're not letting that ankle roll out. Try to press it forward over the front of the foot, not letting it roll out. Good. Weight is still back like you're sitting in a chair. Chest is lifted. Use swan lake arms. These are good dance arms, so lifting with your elbows. The lower part of your arms are kind of relaxed, but you're just going to lift with your elbows and come down, lift with your elbows and come down. We're going to do 2 sets of these. So really pressing up with the elbows, shoulders are down, lift and release. Think about doing little circles with your elbows towards the back. Good. Shoulders down, nice long neck, squeezing your core in your seat. Going to go back to lunges. We're going to do side lunges, just going back and forth. So really wide, kind of parallel, not quite as turned out since you're going to be sitting back, and just alternating back and forth. Really squeezing your seat to transition from one leg to the other. Neutral spine, chest is still lifted, and you're sitting back like you're sitting in a chair. Still keeping that weight back over the top of the heel. You don't want the weight too far forward. Good. And do tricep shoulder press. So having your hands in front of your face, elbows in front of your face, you're going to lift up and do pulses. You want to have your elbows as high as you can. That will give the most resistance. Make sure your shoulders are still down and elbows are up. Little quick pulses. Going to curtsy lunges. You can either stay on one leg or you can alternate back and forth. You're just going to cross that leg really far behind you into a deep lunge. It's just cross back. Chest is still lifted. If you need to slightly turn out that front leg, you can do that. Just depends on how you're made. Still try to keep your hips somewhat even as you're doing these. Guys are doing really good. Make sure you're breathing. Shoulders are down. Core is in. Chest is lifted. Good. On the arms, we're going to do a bent elbow raise. So if you want to use weights, you can do that. So just bend those elbows like you're midway in between a bicep curl and then just lifting your arms up from there. So it's kind of like a side raise, but your arms are bent. So really squeezing with your shoulders both ways, give resistance. Shoulders are still down. Nice long neck, and your core is pulled in. To the legs, we're going to do side taps. So coming down into your lunge, you're just going to tap that leg out. You can either stay on one leg or you can alternate like we're doing here. So really sitting back. Weight is back and over the heels. Knees are back and not extending over the fronts of the feet. Chest is lifted. Your back is neutral. Shoulders are down. Make sure you're still breathing. You're doing really good. We're getting close to the end, guys. Bicep curls. Alternating bicep curls. You can do them in front of you. You can do hammer curls. You can open them up to the sides. There's a lot of different variations you can do. Just make sure that you are squeezing when you're doing this. If you want a little extra tricep work, squeeze on the way down as well. Since you're not lifting a lot of weight here, you can do a lot more with this. Chest is still lifted, core is in. You can get a really good workout on your core just by holding it in. Shoulders are down while you're doing that. We're going to do a squat to runner's lunge. So you're going to come down into your squat, take one leg back straight, come back to squat, and then come up. Squat to the runner's lunge and up. Make sure that you're keeping a nice neutral spine as you take that leg back. It is a little bit of a narrower squat when you do this. If you want to work a little bit of the inner thigh, you can cross back across that center line. Kind of like an extended curtsy lunge if you want to think of it that way. So if you want to do that, you'd squat and then really squeeze in your thighs and then come up. Shoulders are down. Your weight is back. Weight is over those knees. Chest lifted. Remember, you're sitting back. Now as you do that leg back, you want to keep that line. Nice long lines. When your leg is back, that heel through your head should be a nice long line. Make sure you're breathing. Good. And the last tricep press. You're going to go to your forehead, your palms are out, and you're going to press out from there. Elbows are out, palms are out, coming to your forehead, nice flat back, soften knees, press, and then pull in. Shoulders are down. All right, now we're on the last set. You're going to do a deep squat. And the wider you are, the deeper you can go. So you can think of it as a goblet squat or sumo squat. And I like to go down till my elbows touch the insides of my knees. Make sure you're really sitting back. The weight is still back. And breathe. If you want a little extra for your seat, give yourself a squeeze right at the top. So as you come up, squeeze right there. Shoulders are down. Last thing we're going to do is an elbow plank. We're going to do about 30 seconds. If you want to do straight arm plank, you can do that. You can go from your knees, you can go from your feet, depending on how much space you have in your hotel room or wherever you are. Pressing through the shoulders, whether you're on your feet or your knees, make sure that you're really extending through that long line from that pivot point to the top of your head. Shoulders are down, abs are engaged. So you guys did an awesome job. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.